Hello, this is Dan Holme of Locked On Capitals, and this is a news-breaking podcast talking about the Capitals have acquired Pierre-Luc Dubois from the Los Angeles Kings in return for Darcy Kuemper. There's no salary retained. It's a one-for-one deal. And initially when I heard this deal, and I didn't hear the Darcy Kuemper part of the equation, I didn't like it because I know that Pierre-Luc Dubois is making a substantial amount of money. And my fear was that they were going to have to give up a lot of money, that kind of thing, to acquire him. But as it turns out, it is what I consider a win-win situation. I guess I do have some reservations when it comes to Pierre-Luc Dubois, as he has struggled in his career. I think there is a pretty good upside. I know that Spencer Carberry has a way of getting a lot out of his players. So from that regard, I like it. I like the upside. Is this the top six forward that GM Brian MacLellan has spoke of? Maybe. Does he have something else up his sleeve? That would be exciting. I do think that Pierre-Luc Dubois has a good upside. And if you're not too familiar with him, he is a third overall pick in the 2016 NHL draft. He came off an inconsistent season with the Kings where he posted 16 goals and 24 assists for 40 points. So I think when the Kings acquired him, they thought they were getting a different player than the one they got. Either that, or it was just a case of that he didn't gel with the systems for the Kings. But excitement for me. I'm glad that Brian MacLellan went out and addressed this. And, before July 1st, when you'd have to pay the Kings ransom on something like this. So a big move for the Capitals. And, I guess what the biggest thing about this is that this is a chance for both of these players to start all over again. What is one of the things I talked about already today is that Pierre-Luc Dubois did not have the season that he was looking for. Darcy Kuemper also didn't have the season that he was looking for, and oftentimes what they say is that a change of scenery can be exactly what the doctor ordered. Is that the case for the Capitals and the Kings? I guess that remains to be seen. We do know that the Kings had some issues in net, and what is one of the things we know about the Capitals is that they have an abundance of wealth in the net-minding department. I'll talk about this here in a minute, that GM Brian MacLellan said that he considered and factored in the great play of Lindgren when making this decision, that he rose to prominence, I think catching a lot of people by surprise. If we can rewind time, 2 seasons ago, he came on the scene really big in the month of December and then faded away. And then last season was that steady force the entire season. When Darcy Kuemper faltered, Chucky Sideburns, the outlaw, was there to pick up the slack. So a good position for Charlie Lindgren to ostensibly take over the number one job. I don't see the Capitals going out and acquiring another netminder. I have heard rumblings from some insiders about that, and I don't know how well they know the organization or why they would do that. The clear-cut favorite for me right now, knee-jerk reaction, of course, is Hunter Shepard. I think that he has killed it for the Hershey Bears. I've done many podcasts on this show saying that I would have 0% worry about Hunter Shepard taking over either the number one or number two job, depending on who got dealt, in a good position. And ultimately, though, we're forgetting about another goaltender in the equation, and that is Clay Stevenson. He is, I think, what could potentially be the long-term answer in net for the Capitals. So if you take a look at Hunter Shepard and you take a look at Clay Stevenson, both of those two guys vacillated throughout the last AHL regular season as the number one and number two netminders in all of the AHL. That's quite an accomplishment, not to mention when you take a look down the pipeline, there's Mitchell Gibson and Garen Bjorklund and Antoine Keller. That the one thing that the Capitals have done well forever, as far as I'm concerned, is having great options in net, and this is going to be an excellent opportunity for Charlie Lindgren to solidify his spot as the number one overall. And also, this can't get swept under the rug here either, is that this is finally the time for Hunter Shepard to shine. And I'm really happy for him. I've done many podcasts stating that I think he deserves an opportunity, and I thought that either Darcy Kuemper or Charlie Lindgren would get dealt. as it turns out, this happened a whole lot easier than I thought it was going to happen. I thought it was going to be that much more difficult. I thought to myself, well, who is going to want to take on Darcy Kuemper's contract? But a one-for-one deal, that's kind of the perfect situation. We do know that Darcy Kuemper was making a boatload of money for the Capitals. So for him to sit on the bench and be the number 2 netminder making all that money didn't make sense. Is there any guarantees when it comes to Pierre-Luc Dubois? No, there really isn't, but there is a pretty good upside. There is a chance that if he can rekindle, if he can re-find that former player, that it could potentially be exactly what the Capitals were looking for. GM Brian MacLellan says, we are thrilled to announce the addition of Pierre-Luc Dubois to the Caps organization. This acquisition brings in a talented 25-year-old, immense potential to become a top-tier center in the NHL. With his size, exceptional skating, and high hockey IQ, we are confident he will thrive in our organization with increased responsibility and opportunity. That's the hope. That's the above-all, end-all. If he can be this reclamation project, if he can be this diamond in the rough, this could be quite a thing for Brian MacLellan to pull off. If you take a look at historically here, we look at Milano, we look at Smith-Pelly, we look at Conley, players that were kind of reclamation projects. Now, I'm not putting Pierre-Luc Dubois in that same category. I still think that he has the potential of being an elite player. What I'm trying to say here is that Brian MacLellan has the ability to sometimes take risks and to orchestrate something like this. And kind of the genius that is being an NHL GM. It's interesting that I want to say that it was Elliot Friedman or Frank Saravalli spoke about this. I don't know. I had in my podcast about a month or so ago talking about this deal, talking about Pierre-Luc Dubois and the Capitals, and talking about Darcy Kuemper. As it turns out, there was some smoke to that fire, that ultimately that was something that was brewing. Exciting. I always get excited as someone that covers this team when a big player comes in, I get more excited to think about what potentially could be on July 1st. Is there any other big moves up GM Brian MacLellan's sleeve? I guess that remains to be seen. We take a look at what happened last July 1st. You look at the addition of Pacioretty, and you take a look at the addition of Edmundson. Nothing that ever really moved the needle for me. I never got too excited about it, but this for me, I think, has the making of something huge. But Darcy Kuemper was also thanked for his contributions. He said, we also thank Darcy for his valuable contributions to our organization on and off the ice and wish him the best in Los Angeles. After witnessing Charlie Lindgren's performance last year, we believe he deserves a chance to play a more significant role with our team. That is handing the keys to the net over to Charlie Lindgren, saying, you earned it, kid. Don't disappoint us. But a really great position for the Capitals to be in. Again, I'm equally happy about the opportunity that this presents for Hunter Shepard and or Clay Stevenson. Again, I don't want to overlook him. Stranger things have happened. As Capitals fans, if we want to rewind time a little bit, when Holtby was rising to prominence, I thought, he's going to be the number one. It was Holtby and Neuwirth. And then all of a sudden the Capitals did something crazy and they acquired Thomas Vokoun. As a fan, as someone that does a podcast, I see it being, of course, Charlie Lindgren and Hunter Shepard or Clay Stevenson. Not to say that Brian MacLellan doesn't have something crazy up his sleeve and he tries to bring in some grizzled old vet. I don't think that would be in the Capitals' best interest, but all I'm saying is that stranger things have happened. Though, just to get you guys caught up here, I'm on my lunch break at work. I couldn't wait till tonight's podcast. Of course, I will go over this more in depth, but excitement, Capitals fans, about what happened today, the potential that this could be something big. I'm not going to go ahead and say that this is going to take care of all that ails the Capitals in the goal scoring department. But the one thing that I know for sure, and Alex Ovechkin had mentioned this as much as well, is that he struggled with chemistry with the centers that he played with. If we take a look, Backstrom and Kuznetsov for so many years, and then, maybe not a match made in heaven with Strome, even though I think they played pretty well together, that maybe he can get this chemistry potentially with a player like Pierre-Luc Dubois. Excitement abounds as I'm talking Capitals hockey here in June. I know that we have quite a ways to go before preseason and all that kind of thing, but big moves coming on here in June. The Capitals making a huge acquisition, a 1-for-1 trade, Pierre-Luc Dubois for Darcy Kuemper. Let's hear it for Brian MacLellan. This is a big deal, and I'll have much more on this for you later on tomorrow's edition of Locked On Capitals, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. It is your team. It is every day.